Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Just starting now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live. Another beautiful Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. At least on this side of the international date line. Hello, welcome, welcome. Today is Friday. Do you know what that means? My dude. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I have a special treat for everyone this Friday. Another book reading. But not from yesterday's book. I'm going to get to that again soon. But today is Friday. Happy Friday, everyone.
Yeah,
Hello, Jacob.
Fuyo.
Happy Friday. How are you
Hello.
today?
I don't know if it's Friday here, right? I lost count, but I'm doing good.
Excellent. I've got a
I
special
have a
book
little
reading for
theory.
today. What's that?
I have a theory. Okay, what if,
Okay.
like in Rick and Morty, there's a council of like these Jesus guys, and they all meet at that little council place. And whenever one Jesus guy dies in a universe, another one replaces him. Thus, our
Yeah.
God. That's my entire theory.
Okay. Thanks for sharing.
Get to reading already. I got my
Yes, sir.
prosciutto Maretti.
All right. Pastafari, my friend. Oh, my goodness. Just trying to fix my camera thing here. And then I'm going to start reading maybe a chapter or so from The Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, because it's Friday, and Friday is the Pastafarians' holy day. Gonna try to move my camera real quick. For some reason, it is hard. Yeah, I can even cover up the the unsightly bits, or your favorite bits of who is that? Adam? Was it Adam that touches God's finger? Or I'm sorry, the flying spaghetti monster's finger. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm just getting started. So my plan is to read some of the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And if you want to chat about it or anything else, then I'm going to take breaks as I need to breathe because reading and breathing at the same time, kind of hard. Reading out loud, I should say. So if you want to talk about something, I'll bring you up and we'll have a chat, and then we'll go back to reading and we'll see how the day goes. So I've already started the book, but we're going to start on page 18, A Closer Examination of Natural Selection. Apparently, there are not one but two forms of selection. They are natural selection and sexual selection. I'll let you mull over the second sexy form of selection for a minute, at least until I've torn the first one to shreds. I'm expecting Chelsea to hop on any minute too, as my trusty co-host, co-pilot. According to the neo-Darwinists, most evolutionary change is attributed to natural selection, meaning that individuals carrying genes that are better suited to their environment will leave more offspring than individuals carrying genes that make them less adaptive. Over time, these more adaptive traits will proliferate, altering the genetic composition of the overall population, since individuals with better fitness pass more of their genes into the next generation. It is this process, scientists will tell you, that produced the platypus, then penguin, and the poodle, leading us to conclude that scientists are definitely full of shite. If someone can explain to me the adaptive traits of the duckbill, then they can certainly tell me why the platypus is the only mammal on the planet that has one. Are platypi concerned with ingratiating themselves into local duck populations? Do they think that they're funny? Why the F do they have a bill? There she is. Hello, Chelsea.
I literally got on as soon as you said I'm waiting for Chelsea.
Oh, how could I forget my trusty Pastafarian attire?
How could you?
Everyone, today is Friday. This is the holy day for the Pastafari. So, ramen, noodles be with you. Oh, I need like a marker to remember where I let off, because I have a habit of losing my place. Okay, this is only a little bit silly. I'll take it easy on the scientists regarding the platypus, because obviously it's a tough one. But I'm sure there are several hundred scientists right now earning their tenure in a pointless search for the evolutionary significance of this ridiculous creature. I'll close on the platypus by stating an alternative theory that I've come up with. The flying spaghetti monster made the platypus because, unlike scientists, he has a sense of humor. It's an unlikely sign from God. It's an unlikely sign from God, and until someone can prove me wrong, that's my theory. I will next turn to more ordinary and boring examples of natural selection, which I will then proceed to slice to ribbons. I love the confidence. Let us look at the fascinating case of bacteria. It is well known that antibiotics are used to cure various illnesses caused by bacteria, and it's equally well known that most bacteria, for example, Staphylococcus, I think that's how you say it, eventually develop immunity to those antibiotics. Looking a little closer at the case of Staphylococci, we find that in 1929, Sir Alexander Fleming first observed the bacterium Streptolepticae to experience inhibition on an agar plate contaminated by a penicillium mold. Sir Alexander Fleming, or F-Man, as the Queen likes to call him, insulated the penicillium to make penicillin, which then went on to be known as a wonder drug for many diseases, mainly VD. But gradually, penicillin, in its natural form, became useless. Scientists will tell you that the bacterium, which replicates faster than a chihuahua in a Cialis factory. Let me reread that.
I'm sorry.
Scientists,
You want to run that past me again there one more time?
Scientists will tell you that the bacterium, which replicated faster than a chihuahua in a Cialis factory, eventually developed a strain of itself that was...
No, I'm still not okay with it. I was
It was...
try. Still not. Oy. Really?
See, these are the words of the author of the book. At least we know the author's name to this book, unlike many other magic books that we like to pretend are real. Sorry, I digress. I will next turn... No. If we look at... Cialis factories, eventually developing a strain of itself that was resistant to naturally formed penicillin, and then the process of natural selection caused this resistant strain to propagate in nature. This is an outright lie. This is an outright lie, which I will decimate momentarily. If we look at bacteria that grow resistant to antibiotic, insects that grow resistant to DDT, or even HIV that grows resistant to antiviral drugs, we see a fascinating correlation between natural selection and resistance. But what are we really seeing here? I submit that they're not changing their genetic makeup, they're changing their minds. In short, they're getting smarter. If I go to your house and you feed me a shit sandwich 2 days in a row, I'm having lunch at McDonald's on the third day. It's that simple. It took them 2 tries, folks. 2. Don't let the scientists, with their big phallical bacterial names, tell you anything different. They're not as smart as they pretend to be, no matter how much they try to demand so-called lower life forms. Demean. No matter how much they try to demean so-called lower life forms. One other example of natural selection should just be put to bed. Scientists have pointed to artificial selection to show that humans, by providing their own specific set of selective forces, can mimic the forces of nature. We see this over and over again in actions of breeders who purportedly have wrought immense changes in plants and animals. We can look to the various breeds of dogs as an example. Where claims where claims are made that all dog species originated from one common source, the ancestral wolf.
Wait a
From
second.
this,
Hold on. It just occurred to me. When people don't believe in evolution, where do they think dogs came from?
that's an
Did
excellent
they just
question.
did they just appear?
Question for
Or
you: Can modern dogs still breed with
yes.
ancestral wolves?
Yes. They're
Okay.
illegal to own. There's actually
Yeah, I
this
don't.
beautiful sanctuary out and I'm not going to give the location cuz it's probably not good to tell people where it is. Um
Yeah,
there's a beautiful sanctuary, and actually I follow a TikToker. He goes in and he spent the in the night with the wolf pack. Did I send that one to you?
I think you did.
Okay, so they spent the night with the wolf pack to see if they could get trusted again, and some of those are half wolf, half dog.
Hmm.
But the wolf gene is much stronger, and so it'll almost always end up looking like either a smaller wolf, a coyote, a husky. But it takes a long time to get to a Chihuahua, like a really long time, or like a Mexican hairless. Do you realize how many disgusting years of inbreeding and generational like demise it took to get to a bulldog? Like,
And they can't. When they're born, a lot of these breeds can't even breathe properly, or eat properly, or clean themselves
bulldogs
properly. It's
bulldogs
a
can't
mess.
reproduce on their own.
Yeah.
They can't give birth on their own. They can't breathe in specific climates.
Mm.
Like it has to be perfect. They're good for England. That's about it. And they can't reproduce on their own. Like it's almost zero.
Is that part of God's natural design? Is that perfection? That doesn't seem like
I've been
perfection to
meaning
me.
to ask people because like English bulldogs, like so they add American bulldog and they add other like pit bulls and stuff to try and make their hips wider. But like if you go and look at the old English, like they're just too small. They can't breathe and they can't breathe.
I know. It's
It's no
so
bueno.
so infuriating. Continuing on page 20, I'll get my Seth Andrew voice on as best as I can. I will I won't talk like Nelson Mandela, but to slow down and be want to be heard. Now, please don't take offense. There is a great skit by Trevor Noah who's talking about Barack Obama's experience meeting Nelson Mandela. If you haven't seen it, please write it down. Put that on your to watch list. It is really funny. We see this over and over again in the actions of breeders, who purportedly have wrought immense changes in plants and animals. We can look at the various breeds of dogs as an example, where claims are made that all dog species originated from one common source, the ancestral wolf. From this ferocious beast, we are expected to believe that a diverse assortment of species was created by man himself. Such four-legged brutes as the Chihuahua, the Dachshunds, yeah, the Wiener dogs, the
Dachshund?
Poodle, and Dachshund, that's the one, and the Bulldog, which we hit all of those except for the Dachshund.
Okay, so Dachshund have the most spine problems. They literally just stretched a dog and said, "Figure it out, kid."
Yeah, what a tragedy.
It's like a slink. It's like a slinky.
It's like a
You ever
slinky.
seen one of those dogs in? You ever seen one of those dogs in a wheelchair? Not only is it
Yeah.
ridiculously cute, but to watch them try and like they have like special little belly pads because they can't just hold up their legs; they have to hold up the whole belly. All right, so I don't know how devoted our we're gonna have to do a political live later.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
No, no,
It'll
no,
happen.
Brad, you don't even know, man.
Ooh, can you do a poll for us? Put
I
in
think the
like,
God one is on going right now.
oh, I know, but I want to know, like, of the 56 of us here, like, geez, maybe this is just for people that vote in the US. You know, do you vote red or blue or green or yellow? You know, there's all the spectrums. I'm curious what the makeup is.
Isn't it purple?
Um, I can't
Yeah,
think
give
of
me
a
10
party that
seconds.
identifies with purple, but I think libertarians are the yellow ones, right? Like the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, that just comes to mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously, blue is Democrat, red is Republican, green is the Green Party. Put a rose if you can put a rose for like the Democratic. What's it called? The shoot. What's the name of the party that uses the rose as their symbol? Democratic Socialists? Yeah, the Democratic Socialist Party. It's an actual party. Don't be disrespectful to his beliefs. Purple is libertarian? I'm just a big dum-dum. I'm a big dum-dum. Once you embrace your ignorance, it's freeing. The breeding myth appears to be a form of yeah, poodle, bulldogs, all of which have been with us since time immemorial. The breeding myth appears to be a form of propaganda, possibly put forth by anti-intelligence design campaigners. Although I'll save any conversations about intelligent design for a later chapter. How can we believe such claims about man's best friend when it is obvious to the common observer that every breed has been put on this planet to serve a purpose? I, for one, would point to the flying spaghetti monster as the creator of dogs, although there is valid evidence that God, if he is ever proven to exist, might have had a hand in their creation. After all, aren't German shepherds meant to provide us with protection? Maybe even from their own forefathers, the wolf? Weren't poodles and chihuahuas put on the earth to make us feel better about ourselves? There can be little doubt that an intelligent creator put all the species on earth to serve man, and evolution wasn't even properly invented until the late 1800s. Is that enough time to get the Labrador retriever from a dire wolf? I think not.
You're not gonna believe this. It is solidly 50-50.
What is 50? Oh, the poll?
Yeah,
No way.
I
Interesting.
know.
Awesome. I like that.
It's 50 red, 50 blue, and the rest of your colors are shenanigans.
Huh. Moving on. If you don't buy if you don't buy this argument, consider this one last example, which in the case regards plant species. If we look at a domestic cabbage, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, are we to claim, even if they did originate from a common ancestor, wild cabbage, that selection, be it natural, artificial, whatever, could not have been done better over the last few thousand years? The answer is written in the squinched up face of every child with Brussels sprouts in their mouth. Yet after strike, yet another strike against evolution. Wait, I need to read that again.
I was like, why are Brussels sprouts against evolution? Have you ever had like seared? Oh, you don't eat bacon. I don't want to talk about
This
it
is
anymore.
one giant run-on sentence. All right, check this out. This is one sentence. If we look at domestic cabbage, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, are we to claim, even if they did originate from a common and ancient wild cabbage, that selection, be it natural, artificial, whatever, could not have done better over the last few thousand years? That is a long sentence. The answer is written
To
in
be
the
clear,
squinched up faces of every child.
this man is writing about a flying spaghetti monster. Yes.
Fair enough. What's his name again? Bobby Henderson, the author of this glorious
I
masterpiece.
guarantee that's a pseudonym for something else.
Probably.
Really? Bobby Henderson? Really?
From pirates to people. All right, next chapter. Oh, we have pictures too. Look. Any discussion of evolution will eventually lead us to ourselves. Humans have been around for as long as we can remember. Yeah, gee, I wonder why. And yet the
Why
evolutionists
do I
will
feel like
tell
you're not
you,
taking this seriously, Brian?
oh, I love humorous books. They're among my favorite. Freakonomics is a really funny book. Everyone, if you're looking for a funny book, Freakonomics, Freak enomics. And then he had a second one. I can't remember the author's name. He wrote a second one called Super Freakonomics. The
Why
first
do
one
I
is
feel like you're
better,
gonna? Why do I feel
but
like there's
they're
gonna be another book?
but they're both really good. I think I have my copy at my mom's house, but I may have sold it. Any dis- It's so funny. It's so radically funny. And yet the evolutionists will tell you that they weren't. No, I'm sorry. Any discussion of evolution will eventually lead us to ourselves. Humans have been around for as long as we can remember, and yet evolutionists will tell you that we weren't. They will tell you that the humans and chimpanzees shared a common ancestor some 5 million years ago, and that we diverged from that common ancestor and eventually invented the space shuttle, while chimpanzees were only able to invent the stick. To support this thesis,
Okay, that's not
scientists
even
tell us,
true.
I know, yeah, chimpanzees are in the Stone Age, people. Isn't that cool? Hey
I was like,
guys,
that's
hey
not even
everyone.
true. I was like, they're more advanced than that. They're crafting tools.
Oh, the poll just closed. I have 54% as blue, and
Oh, really?
18% as red.
Well, more people might have joined since I looked.
Yeah. How many?
Well, to be fair, that is in fact the percentage of the country right now. So that lines up. More of the country is, that's why we won, right? Like that was like the whole thing.
Yeah, it just
Like we
takes
didn't win by like a lot, but
you
we
know how the
won by
Republicans keep
enough.
winning? You want to know the secret why Republicans keep winning? Gerrymandering and money.
Democrats?
Money and
You mean
no
Democrats?
Republicans are the minority in most of the places except for where there's very few people, and gerrymandering prevents a more accurate representation of the electorate.
Actually, I pulled up what the representation of what the House was religiously. Do you realize that we do in fact have an atheist representative? He swore in on a Superman comic or something.
Yeah, that's right, and that's fantastic. But please do not miss the comment someone just sent you. The background
What?
is beautiful.
Oh, thank
Yes,
you.
Chelsea put this together. But I don't think you
Um,
illustrated any of those masterpieces, did you? No, I recognize all those from the
of
Googler.
course. I didn't I I need no, see, this is true church, okay? They need it to be authentic.
Yes, it's Friday, everyone. To everyone that's joining us since I started, happy Friday. This is the Pastafarian Holy Day. So, to accommodate our like minded brothers and sisters, I should say, I am reading from Bobby Henderson's The Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. If you
Ramen?
want to have a ramen, I come equipped with headgear, and we take this
The
very
most
seriously.
respectful. Yeah, this is the most
And
respectful of the holiday.
Yeah, we've got some great I rather you didn'ts, and we'll get to those later. Maybe we'll close the sermon today by reading I really rather you didn'ts.
Mm.
Um,
I
and
do.
if
I
anyone,
am here with my copy as well, just so you know. But mine's the pocket
yes,
edition, so
and if anyone wants to come in and just say hi, we can talk about the book or anything different. We can take a break. I like to breathe from time to time, but I really enjoy reading out loud to everyone too. So we're going to
breathing is
continue.
important. Did we do our quick meditation? Did we do it? No.
No. All right, let's take a minute. Breathe. Breathe in. We're going to breathe in all the way into the bottom of your lungs, and then we let it out. And we say, Ramen.
Ramen noodle.
Breathe in. Everyone with me? Breathe in.
Penne.
Exhale.
Ramen.
ZD.
All right. So welcome to church, sir.
Welcome, everyone. Ramen. We're reading from the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
And to remind everyone, the more that you tap, the more other people get to see it. It shows that like we're active, so that like other people can join in.
Yeah, we've got a guest too. Yeah, tap the screen, everyone. Like, and we get more eyeballs in here. Hello, we have a son of Jesus Christ. Welcome to our service. How are you today?
Pretty good, you?
I'm excellent. Happy Friday. What's on your mind?
Why do you believe in this thing, the spaghetti monster, whatever you want to call him?
Well, we're reading about the evidence right now. I hope you stick around and maybe we can help shed some light on the truth of the gospel of the flying spaghetti monster.
So you say he's real, but yet you see no movies on him, but yet you see more movies on Jesus than you see on him. You see more Bibles on Jesus, but yet you see no books on your
Yeah,
little spaghetti monsters in
that's
the
that's
store.
that's true.
Explain that. Can you explain that to me if your spaghetti
So my
monsters
my
so
first
real?
yeah, of course. My first question though is, do you think the number of movies or books written besides the source material proves the validity of the claim? I mean,
Like,
I can certainly say that it is supporting evidence, but is it the best evidence? Do you think like the movies like The Passion are forms of evidence that support the claim that Jesus
in a
existed,
way,
etc.?
yes. In a way, in my opinion, it is. Because if your spaghetti monster created everything, wouldn't everything be made of spaghetti? Because that's what he would want it made of. He's called
You
the spaghetti monster. He would want everything out of spaghetti,
yeah,
not
you
the way it
you
is
have
right now.
do you ever
That's
go to the grocery
assuming the
store
mind of
and
a
go into the pasta aisle? We have proof
Yeah.
that pasta exists. I mean, the spaghetti monster is real. You can observe the evidence in every one of your local grocery stores, assuming it has a pasta aisle.
Yeah, but if the spaghetti monster made everything, how come not everything's made of spaghetti? That's what he would make it out of.
no. Once again, sir, this is assuming the mind of a god. How dare you?
No, isn't that what the spaghetti would want everything made out of?
No, sir, you are assuming the mind of a god. How dare you?
I'm not assuming, I'm asking a question.
I guess we'll never know because it's impossible to know the mind of the flying spaghetti monster.
Okay, another question.
Okay, last question though, and then I'm going to get back to the Gospels, okay?
So as we know that Satan tried to take over heaven, who tried to take over the spaghetti monster's place? If that's
There,
true, then anyone tried to take over the spaghetti monster's place.
No one.
there's no devil. There's no Satan. There's only the flying
No, I
spaghetti
mean for
monster.
the spaghetti monster. So
There
that
isn't
means
one.
there's no place. Huh?
Can well, you're making a claim. Can you prove
No,
that the devil exists?
I'm
How do you prove that
asking, is
Satan
there
exists?
no, what I'm saying is, if your spaghetti monster exists, is there a place when people die, does someone go to like a spaghetti hell or something like that?
We're
No,
gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. It's in the gospel.
no, there is
Yeah,
not a
something
spaghetti.
that's fake.
Yeah. Thank you. Come again.
There's
Um,
only pirate heaven, obviously. God.
All right, I'm going to take tech lock real quick, and then we're going to get to the back to the Gospels.
I think that might be a problem with a lot of religion, is that they assume the mind of a god. That feels very intrusive. How dare they?
Oh, tech lock
Oh, you
disappeared.
ran.
I don't know.
Baby, come
Moving
back.
on.
You can
Page
blame it all
21.
on me.
Raw men, everyone. Peace and love. And pasta for all.
Dude, the flying spaghetti monster just entered the chat.
Nice. For real?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. He blesses us with his noodly appendages. We are all
On
blessed
Friday
today.
of all days.
Of all days. So I don't want to repeat your words back to you, Mr. Monster, but we're reading from your gospel today. They will tell you that the humans and chimpanzees shared a common ancestor some 5 million years ago, and that we diverged from that common ancestor, and eventually invented the space shuttle, while chimpanzees were only able to invent the stick. To support this thesis, scientists tell us that we share 95% of our DNA with chimpanzees, and yet we share 99.9% of our DNA with pirates. I ask you, who is the more likely common ancestor? And are the pirates not the chosen people of the flying spaghetti monster? Why do we spend so much time talking about something that didn't happen while the flying spaghetti monster is dangling his noodly appendages right in front of our faces? But I shall preserve just a little further, and I shall examine the human body specifically. I will examine organs that have been deemed vestigial or useless as a result of losing their function over millennia of evolution. We have another picture.
So I would just like to say, the other guy was like, wouldn't he want the whole world to be like noodles? You can look at the trees and see their similarity to cooked noodles. How could you not? When you look at the world around us, the
All
rivers
the
run through the
roots.
world.
All the
Obviously,
root systems
all
look
the
like
roots in the trees.
pasta. Yeah. Fallacy. Emerging in adulthood, these teeth are thought... wisdom teeth. Yeah, I forgot. Wisdom teeth is the head of the section. Fallacy. Emerging in adulthood, these teeth are thought to have served as extra grinding surfaces for early man, who, before the advent of proper dental care, would most likely have lost many of their teeth by his mid-20s. I wonder how many teeth Noah lost by the year 600 when he built the ark. Fact. It is common knowledge that our pirate ancestors ate a diet much rougher and more manly than our diets today. Also, they tended to carry their knives set deep in the back of their mouths. It is logical that they'd need extra teeth. Male nipples. Fallacy. Scientists believe that all humans had breasts, or dugs, back in the Stone Age. Fact.
I'm
Male
sorry.
nipples were used by pirates as portable weather stations. With their nipples,
I'm
they were
sorry.
able to determine the direction of the trade winds, and, depending on stiffness, could how cold it was outside.
Ah,
Facts.
ah.
Goosebumps. Fallacy. Evolutionary propaganda would have you believe that goosebumps are an atavistic. 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 I don't think I've ever read that word before. This
Spell
is
it
the
one more
part
time.
where I would open up dictionary.com and type it in, but I'm not going to do that. We're just going to let you figure it out for yourself.
No, hold
ATA
on. Go ahead.
Atavistic. I believe it has to do with like a bodily response because of the context. Evolutionary propaganda would have you believe that goosebumps are an atavistic, now used less response to distress, be it emotional or weather-related, that was once meant to raise the hair on our early
Hold on, someone gave us the
forefathers.
definition in the chat, I think. The last one?
Something ancient or ancestral? No, it's ATA, atavistic, V-I-S-T-I-C. The fact is, goosebumps are cleverly disguised features that allow for increased buoyancy once a pirate hits cold water. By simply appearing, they raise the surface area, thus increasing buoyancy. This made pirates float better, something that was very useful to our ancestors, as they were sometimes without boats. Naturally, goosebumps seem to be a vestigial reflex, but it's really society that has changed. The appendix fallacy. This is a remnant of an internal pouch used to ferment the hard-to-digest plant diets of our ancestors. The fact is, the appendix was a clever internal pouch utilized for hiding a pirate's gold. It is also the inspiration of the saying, "cough it up," with pirates, which pirates would demand of defeated pirates once they had boarded their ships. Hey, it's written down in a book, and the book is very old. This is our ancient text, and it's written down, so it has to be true. The collarbone. No, I'm sorry, tailbone. I was like, collarbones. The text is kind of artistic, and the T looks like a C. The tailbone. Fallacy. Evolutionists claim that the tailbone, or coccyx, which has no documented use, is an unusual remnant of a larger bone growth that might once have been formed as an ancestral tail. Homologous. Oh my goodness. Homologous. Homologous to the functional tails of other homologous. We have a
Too many.
guest.
Whoa, no. No, you lost me
Yes.
at the
There was
What?
4 O's in that word. Oh, I need to mark my spot. Oh, we had a guest, but they disappeared.
I need to know if this is a real word or a made-up word.
Homologo. Homologous. Homologous. To the functional tails of other primates. The fact is, humans with tails. Are scientists high? Couldn't the coccyx have served other purposes? I have carefully researched this issue and have compared the coccyx to other unusual bone growth in animals, and literature has led me to a single overriding conclusion. Lots of animals have horns on their heads, and these aren't thought to be the remnants of larger bone growth, probably because, unlike the coccyx, horns serve a purpose today. But what if the original purpose of the coccyx has simply been rendered useless by today's culture? If we examine the coccyx closely, you will see that this bony growth is very similar, when you think about it, to a horn, which is the structure used by many mammals for fighting. I submit then that the coccyx is not a vestige of an ancestral tail, but rather an effective, albeit strangely placed, defense and fighting mechanism. I imagine that 2 opponents fighting over women or choice caves real estate would have run backwards at each other, their asses outstretched, much like the way elk fight with their horns. I have termed this ass fighting. This makes sense, if you think about it, as it would leave their hands free to carry whatever they needed, most likely food or rocks. This further evidence that the coccyx is a fighting feature and that some knowledge of its use has survived culturally through the years. Consider how quickly someone will run away from you if you run at them backwards, ass first. I suggest that those who doubt this hypothesis put it to the test and attempt to ram their ass into everyone they see for the next few days. You heard it here first,
Please,
folks. This
no.
is this is the gospel.
Please,
You have been
no.
not commanded, but it has been
No.
suggested.
No. Why? Why would you do that? You put that on
I
the
feel
internet, bro?
I Bobby Henderson feels confident that
No, I
most,
know. I'm kidding.
if
I'm
not
kidding. I'm
all, of
kidding. I'm
their
kidding.
targets
I'm
will at
kidding.
the very least be afraid. I see no other explanation for why this would occur, other than that we know, subconsciously, that the coccyx is a weapon, not a vestigial tail.
You did what to your who?
Oh, just baffling is here. Oh boy, what are we gonna get into now?
Hey guys.
Hi,
What's
what's
up?
on your mind today?
No, I just wanted to say the book is actually quite humorous.
It's wonderful.
Very.
Everyone should buy it and read it.
My question for you would be, what do you think the coccyx is for?
We may never know.
Sitting.
What's it for right now? It could be a
There is an
defensive
answer.
weapon. Or it could be, I mean, Bobby Henderson tends to believe that it's a weapon. Let me ask you this. If I were to run at you full speed, ass first, what would your initial response be?
I think we would all have a very similar response. I'd
Right?
probably
Which
call
leads
some
us
sort
to
of
believe,
authority.
What?
No, but I'm being a bit more on the serious side. The coccyx has a very clear um,
weapon it is.
use, like without. Yeah, well, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with a doctor removing the coccyx if you really don't need it?
Why would I want to
Would it be okay to
disarm
remove it?
myself? Why would I want to disarm myself like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. But aside from the defensive mechanism, would you use any other usage for the coccyx?
I mean, I guess you could
Sitting?
continue. I mean, I guess you could keep trying to grow a tail.
I mean, let's think about it from the other point of view. The only other logical idea is that it is, the bones that would have made up the tail of our earlier ancestors that we evolved from, right? The evolutionists, we can call them, colloquially. They would have us believe that at one point we were all like the monkey, swinging around with our arms and our tails through the trees, and then somehow through a lot of time and adaptation and changing of environments, global selective pressures, yada yada yada. Eventually, we started walking upright, and the tail was not just in the way, but a liability. What if it gets infected? We're not using it anymore. We don't need it for balance or climbing, so it just kind of shrunk up and became the vestigial weapon slash shields that it is today.
What
I think that
creationist got hold of
obviously,
you, Brian?
Sorry, say that again.
Saying what creationist got hold of you?
What creationist? No, that was the only other. Well, the flying spaghetti monster, of course. We were all noodly
Well,
appendages
I'll
in his
I'll
likeness.
I'll share with you the scientific usage for the coccyx, and that is
Okay.
that we wouldn't actually, it supports a human being while they sit down. So it's actually quite an essential, like that's where all the pressure goes when you sit down. So
Hmm.
if you didn't have a coccyx, you'd have a pretty hard time, let alone sitting, but going to the
Yeah.
washroom or any other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
book
we're
has
also
a
great.
bit of an
We're also great.
outdated idea.
We're also great tool makers. You ever seen those donuts that people buy after butt surgery? They have to sit in like a donut. So, checkmate.
You got me
All right.
there.
Thanks for coming in. Do it again. I'm going to get back to the chapters. Love you. Bye.
did you just say butt donut checkmate? I'm struggling so hard right now.
We're nothing but serious here. I everything I say is a lie. We are completely serious here. Fallacy. The human genome provides evidence that we humans were not created ex nihilo, but instead had to evolve systematically, just like all other animals. As evidence, scientists put to lots of non-functional DNA, including many inactive pseudogenes that were... Did I skip ahead? No, and not a weapon. That the coccyx is a weapon, not a vestigial tail. Oh, I'm sorry. One other vestigial feature. That's the name of this thing. What? One other vestigial feature. Fallacy. The human genome provides evidence that we humans were not created ex nihilo, but instead had to evolve systematically, just like all other animals. As evidence, scientists point out lots of non-functional DNA, including many inactive pseudogenes, that were functional in some of our ancestors, but aren't today. One example that is often cited is the case of vitamin C synthesis. While all primates, including humans, carry the gene responsible for synthesizing vitamin C, that gene is inactive in all members of the primitive family but one, man. Scientists point out this as evidence of our shared lineage, although I can't figure out why. The fact is, pirates, our ancestors, lived in the tropics and ate lots of fruit. Boom. Drop the mic. Evolution gets sexy. Finally, I will address sexual selection, which I promised sometime earlier. The basic concept behind sexual selection is that one gender of the species, usually the female, actively chooses members of the opposite sex to copulate with, based on certain criteria, thus replacing a selective pressure on the species as a whole. Sexual selection explains the bright foliage of male birds, the impressive ritualistic duels among male rams, deer, elk, and other ungulates. Ungulates or ungulates? Ungulates. And the high percentage of and the high percentage of hummers being driven by short, ugly men. I knew a woman that used to drive a Hummer. Correlation? In short, sexual selection depends on the success of certain individuals over others of the same sex, while natural selection is a non-gender specific. In the interest of modernity, I move that Congress pass a bill outlawing this backwards and sexist practice. I'm struggling with this word. Spaghetti. The spaghetti. S-P-A-G-H-E-D-E-I-T-Y. The spaghetti. While I have essentially decimated the theory of evolution throughout these pages, it is important to state that the great deal of credible evolutionary evidence does exist. No one can dispute the fossil record, which shows a clear and gradual transformation of species over time, albeit with frustrating gaps, and I ask you, who could have put them there? End parentheses. And there do indeed to appear to be a selective force at work in the world. For instance, when drunks walk out into the road and are hit by cars. We are not saying that evolution can't exist, only that it is guided by his noodly appendages. And our spaghetti deity, I think that's it, spaghetti deity. And our spaghetti deity is extremely modest. For some reason, he went through a great deal of trouble to make us believe that evolution is true, masking the prominent roles of pirates in our origins, making monkeys seem more important than they really are, generally keeping behind the scenes and out of the spotlights. In spite of his low profile, though, let no one doubt that the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster is not only a groundbreaking religion, but is also supported by hard science, making it probably the most unquestionably true theory ever put forth in the history of mankind. To make my point, I will turn to the modern-day problem of global warming. Pirates, as you know, are his chosen people, yet their numbers have been shrinking ever since the 1800s. Consequently, we find that global warming, earthquakes, hurricanes, and other natural disasters are a direct result of the shrinking number of pirates. To illustrate this fact, I have included the following well-known graph from a recent study. As you can see, there is a statistically significant inverse relationship between pirates and global temperature. But of course, not all correlations are causal. For example, take a look at this seeming correlation between grading ID proponents. ID as in intelligent design. For example, take a look at this seeming correlation regarding ID proponents. Okay, so we got a couple graphs here. One is a scatter plot. And it's really hard to see on camera. So strong and neutral are the x-axis. And I don't know what this... Oh, IQ. IQ quotient. Okay, scatter plot. And then here we have another graph. See, it's a very scientific book, people. There's graphs. The book has graphs and numbers and x's and y's. It's totally serious. It's very, very real. Not making this up, folks. Here we have number of pirates on the x-axis and global average temperatures. And as we clearly see, as pirates go down, temperatures go up. It's undeniable. It would appear that the people behind ID, or intelligent design, have a lower intelligence quotient than the general population, and a significantly lower IQ than scientists, who overwhelmingly reject the idea of intelligent design. I, for one, tends to believe this to be merely a strange coincidence that intelligent design believers are not necessarily as, R word I can't say, as the data would suggest. It is entirely likely that the Flying Spaghetti Monster put this coincidence in place in order to confuse us further as to our true origins. We may never know. Does it have a pie chart? Maybe. Or would it be like a spaghetti pie chart? I haven't seen a pie chart yet. Oh, we got pictures of fossils though. See? Pictures make it real. All kinds of stuff. Boiling water. Yeah. And DNA looks like spaghetti, right? Our DNA is the spaghetti. There's the answer. Our DNA looks like spaghetti, doesn't it? All noodly and stuff. Next section is called Flying Spaghetti Monster versus Other Religions. Okay, if you're just joining us, happy Pastafarian Friday, everyone. This is the holy day of the week for us Pastafarians, and I am reading from the Gospels of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Oh. Excellent. She sent me a new background, which is going to be a little better. Yes. Love it. Ramen, everyone. Nice work, my dear. Nice
All right, now
work.
fix yourself. It was
What,
bugging
make me?
me. My OCD took over, and I got mad at myself for like a whole minute. I was like, I gotta fix that shit.
All right,
Like
what
a
do you
whole
mean?
minute.
Just
Just
make
bring
myself
yourself
the
down.
same.
No, just down a little. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Now you're not covering David. Now you're not covering anything important.
See, I was actually covering in David or Adam intentionally, but that's okay. We're all
Oh,
adults here.
to be clear, there's supposed to be a little pastafarian circle over that. Hold on, do you want me to go back? Because there's supposed to be the circle's in the corner. It's supposed to be over him. I forgot to move it back.
Oh, I see it now.
Do you want me to go fix it?
Yeah, that would be
Okay, hold on.
probably a
Let me
good idea.
just...
Perfect. All right. I'm glad there's at least 56 of us silly, goofy people here today. I love you all. Welcome to our reading of the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. We're learning facts and stuff. We got scatter plot charts and line graphs and facts. We're hitting you with the facts. Tomato sauce. Okay. Totally serious here. Everything I say is a lie. At least I'm honest about it. I'm not passing around a collection plate. But I do ask you to tap the screen. Please tap the screen, tappy, tappy, tappy. That way more likes equals more eyeballs, and we can bring more converts into the church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. A conversation about intelligent design proponent. A conversation about intelligent design proponents, no matter how brief and spacious, inevitably lead us to the discussion about God and
To be
religion.
clear, it's a million times better now.
Oh, yeah. Terence the Trilobite.
It seemed fitting.
Yes, I love it. Oh, I had an idea. I don't know why it took me so long to actually realize this, but I can download all of my TikTok lives, and they're like 2+, 3+ hours, right? So I can't put it on my phone, but I can put it on my big ass computer and then upload it to YouTube. And all right, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel just for these lives. I think that's
Oh
going to
gosh.
be
Oh man.
valuable.
Let's do it. Shaving down the horns today. Do you want to restart? I feel like we lost momentum. It started dropping.
Nah,
That's okay.
nah. If we get to like
Someone
10,
said, "Did you
yeah.
used to be religious?"
Nope, I was blessed, for lack of a better term, with two non-religious parents. They weren't outright atheists or Satanists or anything. They just didn't believe. They were apatheists. They didn't care. And my grandfather was very non-religious. He was an atheist. He would even call himself that. But my other three grandparents were all believers, but they never forced me into church or anything. So I was allowed to fumble through all the different belief structures on my own and came to the conclusion that it's all equally valid. That is to say, not at all. Until I discovered the flying spaghetti monster. Lucky one. Yeah, I know. I sympathize so much with people who struggle with their deconversion, especially when it creates great rifts in a family. My heart bleeds for you all, so please be strong, stay safe, don't make rash decisions, choose your battles wisely. Because sometimes peace is more important than truth. I know. It's hard, but sometimes peace is more important than dying on a truth hill. right? Yeah. Okay, breathe in. Breathe out. Ramen.
I was feeling more like linguine.
Linguine. It is important to state up front that the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster is a peaceful religion, probably the most peaceful of them all. But can we prove that? In order to explore our proposition, let us look at religion and violence throughout history, particularly with regards to war and death. Christianity appears to be the Rambo of religions, with the Crusades, the Inquisitions, various bloody rebellions, the conquistadors. The list seems nearly endless. Suffice it to say that when Jesus Christ stated, in his bewitching and Yoda-like manner, "But choose enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring hither, and slay them before me." I don't know why I gave him an English accent, but I did. Deal with it.
I like.
Lost my place. People took him pretty literally. The Jews and the Muslims haven't done so well for themselves either, and are still duking it out. We even find Buddhists fighting in China. So, glossing over the evidence, we find that religion can be quite scary and violent. On the other hand, there's absolutely no evidence of any deaths from flying spaghettiism, which seems to
The
imply...
Flying Spaghetti Monster informed you that he has a pirate accent, to be clear.
Yar, matey, I used to sail a ship for guests at a resort. 'Twas one of my favoritest jobs of all time, lest ye forgets. And I knew how to put on the pirate accent, because it brought forth thy tips. People enjoyed it, they smiled, we laughed and giggled, and I sailed them safely around the bay. Some were less vomiting than others. However, generally we all had a good time. I will never forget this one particular woman who asked me insistently not to let the boats tip. And if you've never been on a sailboat, all sailboats tip. That's how they operate. The wind blows against the sail from one direction, and it makes the boats tip over just a little bit, and there's a safe range. Sometimes it tips a lot. With more wind, it goes like this. But it wasn't one of those days. This is a perfect sailing day, and this lady was like getting mad at me because I was sailing the boat. And everyone else, there were 4 other guests, and they were all like, "Lady, this is normal. This is the thing." And I had to say to her, if you want to go out on the ocean and not tip, you need a very large, flat, non-sailboat. I will do my best to tip it the least as we can, but it has to. Like, it physically has to tip in order for the properties of physics to make the sailboat do the thing.
Do you mean that you found a Karen on the ocean?
She wasn't the only one, but she was one of the worst. And after we got back to the dock, she was so mad. Everyone else was fine, but she was so mad. She went and told...
Obviously, if you don't know how a sailboat works, and someone promises you, like, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine.
She
like,
legit went to the manager and tattled on me.
And said that the sailboat was tipping back and forth.
And then I was a hot dog. We got back to, and she like jumped off the boat. She's like, "I'm so mad at you. You're just a hot dog trying to impress." And she stormed off. And the manager told her that he would come talk to me, which he did. He came down with a big smile on his face. He's like, "I told her that I would talk to you. Trust me, I get it. No problem. Wink." And he left. Tipping on purpose. Yes, sailboats tip on purpose. I have a lot of stories to tell about being at sea. We tipped a lot. I sailed through the eye of a hurricane. Literally,
Why did you do that?
like
Why
black
would you do this?
black skies for days, right?
Listen, Pirate Brian.
Why?
Why?
All right, is it story time? Do you want
Yes.
everyone?
What
Do
are
you want me
you
to
doing?
say read or story time?
Nope. Nope. They don't get to choose. I get to choose. What the heck?
Okay,
This is because you're a boy. Let me guess. You were 22, 23, 24, 25. You were definitely under
21.
25.
I was 21.
Oh, okay.
And I joined a crew of four other people, and we left Maine, and we were sailing this boat to the Falkland Islands. It took us 41 days
Texas.
without touching land to do this. It was a 74-foot aluminum hull sloop with a 52-ton centerboard. Yes, on a pivot. So you could pull the 52-ton centerboard up and the whole ship would draw about 4 feet of water. So you could sail it into shallow waters. But we were sailing it from Maine to the Falkland Islands. And as we left Bermuda, we needed to make an emergency pit stop in Bermuda because the engine stopped working. So many stories. Bermuda was a blast. Anyway, we left
I forgot you were a
Bermuda.
psycho.
We left Bermuda and we basically went straight into a class 1 hurricane. And we were on a schedule. We had to go. And the ship was built for it. This was like an Abrams M1 military tank of a sailboat, right? This thing was high latitude expedition exploration charter boat. I think I'll pass on that trip.
Okay, Storm Chaser. This makes me feel so much better.
So
Listen.
when
Okay. Pirate, Storm Chaser, 21 years
Yar,
old. I know you're smarter than this. Like, I know now.
I'm adventurous. I'm an adrenaline seeker. I love adrenaline.
Dude, I'm such an adrenaline junkie.
So anyway, we were motoring south because there wasn't enough wind, right? Yeah, ironic, I know. And we were motoring straight into this giant black horizon. It was the most eerie and creepy thing I've ever seen. I took some fantastic panoramic photos of it. I'll try to post it somewhere so you can see. But half of this giant photo is the most pristine aqua blue tropical seascape, and then this black ominous death cloud that we're sailing straight into. And for 3 days we were pounding into the wind and the waves. And when you put a reef in the sail, there's 1 or 2 reef points in a sail that makes the mainsail smaller or shorter. This boat had 4. So we were on 4 reefs, which means the mainsail was only like 8 feet high by 7 or 8 feet, at the foot of the sail. And we had 3 roller furling jibs or headsails, and we only had 1, the smallest one, partially rolled out. So we were barely under sail. That's just enough to keep the boat tipping, just enough, right? Because you have to tip. And the waves were taller than the boat was long. We were probably in 90 to 100 foot swells. And it was way too much for the autopilot to handle. So I learned how to sail the boat through a hurricane. We would take shifts, 3 hours on, 3 hours off, 3 hours on, 3 hours off, 4 hours on, 4 hours off, repeat. And every other day you would see the sunrise, and every other day you would see the sunset. It was a fantastic way to live at sea. Like your body naturally gets into that rhythm of 3 on, 3 off, 3 on, 3 off, 4 on, 4 off. Have some coffee, you're ready to go, and then the coffee wears down, you hit that low, and then you go to sleep for 3 hours. Anyway, so I was on watch at about 2 in the morning, sailing 3.5 days through hell, literally bearing off the wind, picking up as much speed as you can to sail up a 90-foot rolling sea, and then surf down the other side, and then bear off just enough so that you didn't plow the nose of the boat into the next wave coming at you, right? But not so much that you fell in the trough, and it was literally life and death out there. And It was amazing. And then I was at watch at about 2 in the morning, and the wind stopped. Just like dead wind. After 60 plus knots of wind, legitimate class 1 hurricane winds. And I look up in the dark, pitch black night sky, and there is a circle of stars above us. We were in the eye of the hurricane. And I was the first one to realize this. So I slapped the autopilot on for, it's good for a few minutes, and then it just gets overwhelmed. Ran downstairs, got everybody up on deck. We shifted the sails over to the other tack. We were on port tack or starboard tack, I can't remember right now, for the 3.5 days, and then the wind shifted 180 degrees. It was phenomenal. And then we sailed through the other side of the hurricane for another 3.5 days. It was one of those moments you never, ever forget. And we were soaked. We were absolutely drenched. I remember this one moment where we did hit a big wave, broke over the nose of the boat, blew water over the entire boat. And the boat has 2 helms. You have an interior helm and an exterior helm. The helm is the steering wheel that you drive the boat. And there's a big dodger, a big pilot house that's for the interior helm. And you can't see well when you're in there because the waves and the wind is just... the windshield wipers are going like this. But it's much better to be in the outside helm, full foul weather gear, and you can see over the pilot house, and the pilot house shields you from most of that wind and water. Until you plunge that nose in, the blue water splashes over the entire boat. I ducked down like this, and the water went straight down the back of my foul weather gear. And I was saturated from the inside with cold, salt water for the rest of my shift. It was miserable. Everything gets wet. Everything was wet. And then after the storm, we used the freshwater tanks on board to wash out all of our clothes and foul weather gear, and then we hung them up to dry. And we had a very pleasant sail for the rest of the trip down to the Falkland Islands. I got off the boat there. I hiked the Falkland Islands for a week and a half. It was amazing. Wonderful, wonderful place. But no, I wouldn't want to live down there. The internet is terrible. And then I spent...
I just sent you a picture.
Okay.
That's one of the stupider things that I've done.
I'll share it with the audience real quick.
Yeah. I went out on a jet ski. Oh, it'll never show on here like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can see how awesome it is, but yeah, it'll never. That was one of the stupider things that I did. I got stuck in the storm and I almost didn't make it back, and I almost flipped a jet ski. I almost hurt myself pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not smart.
Can I get a ramen? Ramen. Ramen, everyone. Yeah, I'll just wrap the story up super quick. And then I flew to Chile for a week. I stayed in Santiago for about 3 days. I really wanted to go see the tourist sites like the volcano and some cliffs and beaches. But it rained the entire week I was there. It sucked. I got out a little bit, but I was just not up for getting wet in Chile all the time. Then I took a bus overnight to Santiago. Oh, Puerto Montt. I first went to Puerto Montt, then Santiago. Then I flew out to Caribbean, to the Beef Islands. And my cousin had a place on St. Thomas. My goodness. Yeah, St. Thomas. And I lived in Coral Bay for 6 months. Sailing boats, racing, fixing boats, doing landscaping and stuff. And then I returned home Then I taught sailing lessons for that summer, and then I went back to college in the fall and became an engineer after that. So that was my grand world sailing trip before I hit real adulthood. Yeah, fun stuff. We're not mocking religious people. No, we're mocking religion. Big difference. Hey, Tex is here. Tex, you free? You want to chat?
Hold on, he said, "Give me a sec."
Oh, cool. Uh, shall I continue?
I think that
What about
I
we?
want
What
to
about we
know.
put a? Yeah.
I want to know how long it took you to get all the way there. Like, how long were you on that sailboat? Like, in total?
Yeah. I actually have photos of all the ship's logs, and I can look up the exact dates. But it was 42 days at sea. We had 5 extra days in Bermuda, so I don't count those
Yeah,
because
that
we
sounds
weren't
awful.
sailing. Yeah, actually, there were some
That
really
sounds awful.
there were some big downsides to Bermuda. The worst one was that we were docked downwind of one of those giant cruise ships, and they have their generators, their diesel generators, running all the time. So for like 4 out of the 5 days we were there, we were breathing that nasty diesel smoke, and I had the worst headaches. And we did a total ship breakdown,
Oof.
cleaned everything while we were there, just staying busy, while the engineers and mechanics were putting the engine back together. So this ship had basically 2 or more of everything, except for the raw water coolant pump intake drive belt. Drive belt broke.
Someone said,
The
"What's up
raw,
with this guy in spaghetti?"
huh? What's up with this guy and spaghetti?
Someone said, "What is up with this guy in spaghetti?"
Welcome, new convert. We're glad to have you. Today is Friday. Friday is the holy day. It's our holy day of the flying spaghetti monster. It is a very legitimate religion, and I have been reading from the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster by Bobby Henderson. See, we even know who wrote it. Yeah, I mean, right there, knowing who wrote the Gospels, big step up from any of the other unknown sources of Gospels.
Matthew, Mark,
Ramen. Matthew,
Luke.
Mark,
Who
Luke, and
are those
John.
people?
Yeah, did they actually write the Gospels? Nope. Howdy, partner. Hello.
Prematurely.
Are you there? It's hard to hear you. Your mic is not
Can you
working
hear me?
right. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let me come right back. Let me come right back.
Okay.
I'll come back. Hold
Matthew
on.
for
How do I do
sure. What
this?
about Matthew? So you're telling me the big
Can y'all
challenge
hear me
logic?
okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know. I was putting my headphone in when you accepted the request.
Yeah, it was still like working itself out and you weren't coming in clearly. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up, buddy? What's on your mind?
Oh, not much. I can't with y'all with this stuff, man. Y'all having me dying with all this.
Isn't it good to
I,
laugh though?
I
Like
don't
like
I don't know. I
laughter.
don't know if I'm offended or if I'm loving it. I have to
Perfect.
be extremely honest with that.
Perfect.
Oh man, no,
Mission accomplished.
yesterday was awful, man. We went back to where my deer stand is, and we have a big pond over there too. I was getting ready for for fishing for the upcoming months and stuff, and they just tore all that land up back there, and so I was out
Yeah.
there trying to smooth it out with the tractor and everything. It took me 10 hours at least. It was
Bummer,
awful.
dude.
I was burnt
Yeah,
out.
Wild
bummer.
hogs are the most invasive and destructive species of the South.
Oh, they are, and there's
Uh
a
huh.
there's a subdivision they call Hilltop Lakes around here, and they actually go up to these people's homes, like up to the actual walls, the outer walls of their house, and tear up all their land. they're bad out here. They just don't get two cares at all.
Okay,
Trying to be
so
legit
for
on
everyone
the
that
mic.
doesn't know what's happening right now, Brian, would you like to explain? Or
Ah,
Tex, would you like
yes.
to explain?
I've got a. Before we get there, I'd like to put a pause in the reading. I want to restart the live. I want to change the background. I'll do something, one of my normals, like ask an atheist, or maybe that tell your conversion or deconversion story. I really like those chats a lot. And
What about our
what's your
prayers and
name,
spins?
Bob?
That was a good
Is
one.
your name Bob? What do you want me to call you besides Tex?
J Bob's fine.
J Bob.
Yeah,
Will you
my
join
first
us?
name's Jason, so
Okay.
yeah.
Will you join us in after the restart, and then we'll tell
Yeah,
everyone. We'll tell all. We'll tell what this is about.
let's do it. Let's do it. I'm game.
Excellent. All right, stand by,
Awesome.
everyone. We're going to do a quick restart, and we will be back with you momentarily.